Hello! It's probably gonna take a second to show up. I've learned that this starts recording before it starts showing up on the live stream. Hello! Are people seeing me? Yay! Okay. Sorry, I was having a lot of issues. For some reason, every time I start OBS, it decides it's going to do something different. Uh, and it wasn't reading my webcam, so I was having a little bit of issue there. Thank you for being patient, guys. Alright, I'm gonna delete my Twitter comments about it, and then I'm gonna tweet that it's live. Okay. Okay. Issue solved. Live now, if I can spell. Okay. Yikes. Oh, and then my neighbors decide to be loud again outside. Oh, thank you. About the shirt. Okay. I'm all in a frazzle now. I'm frazzled in a tizzy, whatever. It's just very frustrating. I gotta get back into the Modelland spirit. I don't want to come in mad. Hello, everyone. You know what? Digging? I think people still say digging. I say digging. Maybe we're both out of touch. Or maybe it's the children who are wrong. Okay, let's get some reading done. We've wasted enough time. We gotta get back to some good old fashioned model land. Okay, so here's me trying to remember the recap again. Okay, I might have to just go by chapter. I don't know how much I'll remember of the entire book as we go through it. Let's see how much I retained. So Tukey de la Creme, she is Tyra Banks's young model self. She spent the first part of the book laying on the floor because nobody would look at her, and that was her acting out, I guess. She chased a button into a garbage can, and then she met her friend who lives in a tree, and then she went home to her family, and they're kind of abusive. And there's a Harry Potter model school called Modelland, and they got these Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka, whichever version you prefer, tokens or talismans called smizes that are transported via water, like sonic rings. And if you find one, then you have a chance to go to Modelland. And then she found one in the sink, and then they decided they were going to go find an outfit. And then the Model Land Eye of Sauron appeared in the sky, and then the Belladonna talked to them in some made-up accent, and then introduced the Intoxibellas, which are the models in Model Land, or 7 of them, the 7. I think that covers it. They've not gone to Model Land yet. I have a super chat from Trixie Narrator. Trixie Narrator. Thank you so much for everything, Allison. You're one of my heroes. Oh, thank you. What a nice thing to say. Oh, I forgot the best part. Oh my god, the best part of the chapter yesterday was the backstory for Tukey's dad, where they explain how he lost his eye because because he was an acrobat who was doing some stunt, and as he was gonna do this stunt, he was like 7 stories high over some swords. Her mom starts looking in her mirror to like do her makeup to look good for the cameras, and then a light reflects on the mirror, and somehow that reflects out where I don't know why, and then it blinds him, and then he falls, but then he lands perfectly fine. But when he's bowing, he accidentally impales himself on a sword, which seems kind of unrelated. And that's how that happened. I got another super chat from Dr. Donald Blake. I don't see a message there, so if you have a message, just post it afterwards. I'll read it, and thank you. Okay. I mean, and this is a children's book. This was a New York Times best-selling book, and it was in the children's chapter book section. Amazing. Another super chat from an eel. Oh my god, an eel! I love it. Shout out to Albert Talbert, my fave name so far. I liked Albert Talbert. That might be my favorite too. I liked Jeremy Jerk, but someone informed me that Jerk, Jurk, is like I forget what language. It's another language and it just means dress. So Jeremy Dress, and it's pronounced Yerk. Jeremy Yerk, but it's not as funny as saying Jeremy Jerk, so I'll probably just say it that way. Yeah, if Dr. Donald Blake says anything and I miss it, please let me know. I don't want to ignore those messages. Okay, let's get started. We are on chapter 7, X02. Who's talking? Mr. De La Creme? Okay. And here is me trying to remember the various voices I have given the characters. Damn it, woman, where were you? Tookie's head jerked up from her pillow with a start. She'd been exhausted after the shopping trip and had gone straight to bed. How long have I been sleeping? She was exhausted from her shopping trip. You came home an hour later than you said you would, Mr. De La Creme continued with an acidic rage Tookie had never heard before. Then there was a sound of liquid sloshing from a jug, followed by the sharp, sour smell of tater mash. Ah, he's drunk again. Mrs. De La Creme sighed.
You're drunk, Christopher. For the last time, we were at the mall buying a dress for your daughter and stopped to watch the 7-7 ceremony.
Woman, whether you disappear for an hour or days at a time, Mr. De La Creme scoffed, you always have some clever excuse. Tookie peeked around the corner into her mother's office, which was next to the kitchen. Mrs. De La Creme was dressed in an ivory satin nightgown with a matching robe that cinched her waist so tightly Tookie thought it might leave permanent indentations. Creamy, that's her mother's name, I guess. Creamy sat in a lambskin chair at her massive desk. Brand new books with shiny covers lined the shelves, sitting on the long backless couch and the windowsills, and in custom displays all around the room was her doll collection, which she'd started years before Tookie had been born. It's another super chat from Dvid22. How's life in Modelland? Are you life size 3 yet? Oh my gosh. Life size 3, they gotta make it. I'm pretty sure they talked about it. Who knows if it'll ever happen, much like many of Tyra's announced projects. Thank you, David. There were swaddled babies, dolls with eyes that opened and closed, dolls that wet themselves and digested food and spoke. Each was positioned just so, an arm curled here, a leg crossed there. Their heads pointed straight at Tookie's mother as though she were conducting a meeting with all of them. Tookie wished she could close every single pair of glassy eyes. Maybe if they didn't stare so adoringly at her mother, Mrs. De La Creme could resist their charms and would share some of her love with Tookie. Oh. Mr. De La Creme stood in front of his wife, his hands balled into fists on his hips. Oh, I know you stopped to watch the 7-7s, but I also know you can see that damn show from anywhere in the world. Hell, I saw it right here from our front porch. You could have watched it here with me. But no, you wanted to watch it with your man friend, didn't you? I know people, Creamy, and I trust what they tell me. I have another super chat. Retro K283. Hope your day is a good one, Allison. Your Modelland live readings are always entertaining. Thank you. How nice. Mrs. De La Creme tossed her hair.
So now your desperate flabby behind is spying on me? She laughed cruelly. Ha ha ha. Oh, Christopher, you have reached an all-time low. I pity you.
Spare me, Mr. De La Creme growled. The only thing you should pity is that disastrous, petrifying mug of yours. Mrs. De La Creme instinctively touched her face.
Oh, so the one-eyed unemployed monster has the nerve to talk about my face? Have you looked in a mirror lately, dear?
Another super chat from Cartoon Kelly. I'm here today. Have some money. Oh, thank you. I hope you're feeling better. I think you said you weren't feeling good. I don't know. Well, I hope you're feeling better regardless. Mr. De La Creme slammed his jug of tater mash onto his wife's desk.
That's what this is all about, isn't it? You think I'm damaged goods?
He grabbed Bellissima from Mrs. De La Creme's arms. Tuki's mother groped for the doll.
Christopher, don't you dare hurt her!
Are we gonna get to Modelland anytime in this Modelland book? All it is, it's just like dysfunctional family in shopping world.
Her? He waved the doll in the air. You say it like she's a human being, like she's more important than me. Where do I fit into your life? Sometimes I think you wish that sword had killed me, so that you could continue your life with her father.
Oh, the twist! The twist!
What?
Mrs. De La Creme asked, her eyes focused on Bellissima.
Whose father?
Your daughter's father, Creamy. Your daughter's father, Creamy. Don't play dumb.
Mrs. De La Creme blinked confusedly.
Miracle's father?
Mr. De La Creme laughed heartily.
Ha ha ha. Oh, you wish I was talking about Miracle. You wish it were Miracle. I had doubts about. That would make her all yours. No, Creamy, she belongs to both of us, and we will both reap her rewards. You can't push me out that easily.
He pointed at her.
You know who I mean, the other one.
Aw, man, this is not looking good. So this whole thing, we talked about this yesterday, the whole fact that the family seems very white-coated, and Tuki is obviously a black girl because she is based off of Tyra's younger self, and the descriptions of her seem to fit that. So, I mean, look, I'm not saying that, like... Is she the only black one and she didn't notice she wasn't, like, biologically hers? Is that what's going on here? Is this, like, opposite the jerk? Like, I was born a poor white child. I don't know. I don't know. I have another super chat from Allison Edrington. Same name. Modelland or bust. Thank you. They don't see color in Modelland worlds. I don't know. I mean, look, there are mixed families sometimes, like other, you know, some children look darker or lighter than others. Like, you know, it happens, but I don't know. It's, yeah, the Yerk. It's the Yerk. I don't know. It just kind of seems like she just didn't notice she was black and her, and her dad isn't. Okay. Tuki widened her eyes. Mr. De La Creme prowled around the room.
Every time I look into that child's mismatched eyes, I see, or shall I say, I don't see it.
The mismatched eyes thing again. They think that's like, oh, that's the signal that it's not his daughter, that she has mismatched eyes. Mrs. De La Creme paled.
But Christopher, you have one green eye, just like hers.
Mr. De La Creme glowered at her.
There's nothing about me that lives within that girl, that circus freak. She's uncoordinated, unattractive, and unmemorable.
Oh man, they had that bonding time with all of the acrobatics and stuff. Ah.
You don't know what you're talking about. You are the only man I have ever been with.
Oh, I bet Wingtip. I'm gonna place bets that Wingtip is her biological father, the wise homeless man that she met. Tuki waited for her to say more, to deny that she thought Tuki was uncoordinated, unattractive, and unmemorable. But she didn't. It was the equivalent of saying she didn't love her. Tuki bit down hard on her inner cheek.
I do too know what I'm talking about, Mr. De la Creme said calmly. She's not mine, Creamy. I haven't felt like she was mine from the second she hit puberty. She went from adorable to atrocious almost overnight.
Oh, so it's not the race thing that seems to indicate it's not that she's not his. It's the uncoordinated and ugliness thing. She's too ugly to be mine. The Smize is her father, yeah. She has no father. She's made by midichlorians. What? Tukey whispered, pressing her spine against the back wall. She felt dizzy. Was this a nightmare?
Creamy, let's be real, Mr. De la Creme continued. As soon as you got pregnant with her, you had to go off to some special medical facility to deal with all the complications you said you were having. Scary things that could have made you lose the baby. I was on the road and couldn't go with you. Remember? I had to keep working to make sure we could put food on the table for our growing family. Then 9 months later, you had her, thousands of miles away from here. You refused to let me be with her to see her take her first breath. My first child, Creamy. You denied me that right. How come you never let me talk to the doctors who delivered her? Was there another man in the room while you gave birth? Her real father? Was that why you called me only after it was over?
You don't know what you're talking about,
Mrs. De la Creme spat. But Mr. De la Creme barreled on. Oh, enough of this. Move to Modelland, please. I have another super chat from old school Kurt. You are an awesome narrator. You should read ghost story books during Halloween. That would be awesome. Oh, thank you. Oh, and then another super chat from the real Manos. Is Wingtip related to Chuck Taylor? Yeah. It's a good one. Thank you, guys. Get to Modelland already. We're 80 pages in. But Mr. De la Creme barreled on.
You told me they didn't know if you or the baby would live, and after that you said you couldn't have any more children. Your insides were ruined. But 2 years later, a miracle came. Thank God, a real miracle. The spitting image of her father.
Yes, this would also seem to further indicate all-white family. Tukey's mouth dropped open. Did he really believe that? Was a child's life worth more the more they resembled their parents? Mrs. De la Creme scoffed.
You have lost your mind. That sword must have sliced your sanity.
But she sounded less resolute than usual. Her face was pale. Her wrinkled lips pursed. Another super chat from Poi Poi Girl for allowing us to share the pain and wonder of this book. Oh, thank you. I suffer for my art. Mr. De la Creme shut his one good eye.
Woman, I cannot take your lies anymore. Just stop it.
He turned and faced the wall, and suddenly, crack! He pummeled his fist through the flimsy plaster. Pfft. A cloud of dust billowed everywhere. Pfft. Tukey shot back and ducked behind the curtain across the hall. Tukey's mother whirled around.
Christopher, you have gone crazy!
It just starts turning into Starscream or something at this point, my voice. Mr. De la Creme's skin flushed puce.
Well, Creamy, if I'm crazy, you sure are breaking your number one rule, because you're making a hell of a lot of eye contact with a crazy person right now, aren't you?
Tukey's mother, her number one rule is don't make eye contact with a crazy person? It's her number one rule. Out of all the rules this mommy dearest-esque mother has, it's don't make eye contact with a crazy person. Another super chat from JP Damon. When are we going to get to the Modelland factory? I know, right? How long until we get to Modelland? I'm just going to go to a random page, 147. Okay, it seems to be some sort of stuff. There's a lot of new characters already. Come on. Ugh, it's just too far. We know by the time we get to 147, there appears to be something. We got time. We got 569 pages. 69. Nice. Where am I at? Tuki's mother shot to her feet, grabbing Bellissima from her husband.
I'll say it again. Not one bit of your ridiculous accusation is remotely true.
Oh, but it is creamy, and you know it, and I'm going to tell everyone I know after I prove my gut instinct to be a scientific fact.
He removed a yellow toothbrush, its bristles worn and bent, from his pocket and waved it in front of his wife's face. Tuki squinted and realized it was hers. She had brushed her teeth with it earlier that night. He's gonna do the DNA test, and then Tyra's gonna find out her heritage and take up the ending of a whole Top Model episode. 569 pages. Yes, you heard me right. That's how long this ridiculous book is. Ridiculous. Mrs. de la Creme lunged for her husband and pinned him against the ruined wall.
Oh, no, you don't!
Oh, yes, I will! Oh, yes, I will!
Mr. de la Creme cried, trying to push her aside.
Right after Miracle gets chosen tomorrow, I have an appointment at the DNA paternity lab. This very toothbrush of your daughter's will prove she's not mine. And once I find that out, I'm sending Tuki away. I don't want her in this house anymore. I'm sending her to the factories.
Oh, she's going to the orphan factories. Yeah, we're still at the Dursley part. Imagine if Harry Potter wasted this much time on this. Tuki's eyes goggled. But that would mean she'd become a factory dependent. She closed her eyes and thought of the shaved-headed, dull-eyed, miserable, penniless children trudging through the factory doors. That would be her life forever. Did her father really want that for her? Oh my god. She thinks she's going to become a poor person, and we know what Tuki thinks of poor people. Another super chat from Seata88, I think that's how it's pronounced. Had a rough 2 days, and coming home to see another one of these makes things so much better. Aw, thank you. I hope that you're feeling better. I guess you said that you're feeling a little better. I hope that you feel 100% soon. Okay. Mrs. de la Creme shook her head slowly, but she said nothing. Once again, she didn't defend Tuki, nor did she debate his decision to send Tuki away. Maybe she wants to get rid of me, too. Tuki couldn't help it. She let out a squeak. Eek! Her mother didn't hear her, but her father, or whoever he was, turned in the direction of the sound and locked eyes with Tuki. At first, he looked surprised, even panicked, but then he stood up to his full height, possibly relieved.
Just go, he said gruffly, staring at her with his good eye, for all of us.
Tuki gripped the rough curtain fabric. She wheeled backward out of the house, leaving the front door wide open. The words vibrated in her brain like a clapper in a bell. There is nothing about me that lives within that girl, that circus freak. I'm sending her to the factories. Just go, for all of us. Her chest seared. It felt like her father's hands were squeezing all the air out of her body. She staggered down the porch stairs into the evening's heat. Her bare feet skidded over the dead grass. The pain was so deep, tears did not even streak her face. I have to get out of here, to somewhere far away. But where? And then she realized, of course she knew where. Exodus. Another super chat from Mitt Kitty. Man, at least HP had talking snakes and magic happening everywhere. This is just depressing, right? It's just abuse is what it is. Another super chat from Dark Eco 1. Made it. I had to miss the last one because of my job. Glad I got to see this one. Thank you. Oh, everyone's so excited. It makes me excited. It almost makes up for this terrible, terrible book that has not gone anywhere. So Exodus, just a reminder. I will try and remind people let people know who are not up to date about things in the book. Exodus is her plan with her little tree friend to rush off on their own and to open up a factory with a mayor for some reason and employ their own little orphans. You know, as you do. I can't believe Tuki's father had this heel turn. She was so nice to him after he impaled himself when he was just feeling himself at that acrobatic thing. His hubris got him, but she stood by him. Yeah, her friend who has been horribly tortured. Her, good. I'm glad we're going into stuff with that. Just a heads up for people. It seems we're getting into some Lizzie stuff. When we get into the Lizzie stuff, there is some self-harm, some stuff about her escaping an asylum, mental health issues, stuff like that, and it is not the most tactful portrayal. So if this is something that is perhaps a trigger for you, that's a heads up. All right. The zipper of Tuki's bag made a loud screech as she tried to pull it closed. She winced, looked around to make sure no one heard, slipped her T-mail jail into the left pocket of her cargo pants and the Tuki button into her right, and tiptoed out of the clothes-strewn bedroom. A reminder, T-mail jail is the letters that she writes to a friend of hers that went missing, that they haven't really mentioned through much of this book, but that is something. And Tuki is the button that she got from this weird guy that she's creeping on, that some letters are rubbed off, and it spells her name badly. She paused in the doorway to glance at Miracle, who was sleeping soundly, letting out a giggle snore here and there. Hee! Hee! That's the only thing I can think that sounds like. This might be the last time Tuki would see her sister, ever. Tuki wondered how she'd be able to fall asleep when she was separated from Miracle. Miracle's signature giggle snore had sort of become Tuki's sound machine, lulling her to sleep every night. So she's just wondering how she's going to go to sleep. She's not really going to miss her sister. She's just going to miss the giggle snores. I know you'll get in, Tuki whispered. I hope Modelland is everything you and Creamy always wanted, and more. Dawn was breaking as she crept down the stairs. Tuki had stayed awake all night, plotting and planning. She now knew for certain that this was her only option. This was what Wingtip was talking about. This was her dreaming big. Everything sounds stupid in this book, doesn't it? Wingtip. Wise old Wingtip. Last night, after hearing her parents' conversation, she'd painted XO2 on the front door of her home, her secret signal to Lizzie. Less than 2 hours later, Tuki had heard a soft shriek outside her bedroom door. She looked out and saw a barren tree trunk bearing the same symbol, XO2. It was accompanied by a smiley face and the number 7, the time in the morning when they would meet. I have another super chat from Azri Drake. Loving the live reading. The book is ridiculous. Thank you for suffering for us. Oh, thank you. I like everyone's enjoying my suffering. That's awful nice of people. At least I'm suffering for a reason, you know? Tuki was escaping Peppertown forever. Remember, it's called Peppertown because it's very hot. So hot they could cook things on the sidewalk, and they're basically dying every time they go outside. They need suits. Almost need suits to protect them from the sun. Escaping her parents, escaping with Lizzie to the place of her dreams, and being in total control of their destinies. She could start her whole life over and become a remember girl. Instead of a forget-a girl. 2 more steps. 1. Tuki curled her finger around the doorknob. She could taste the freedom.
Where do you think you're going?
Tuki jumped and spun around. Her mother stood behind her. She wore tight-fitting, iridescent, bone-colored jeans with a matching one-shouldered top made of silk jersey that read, "Modelland needs a miracle." Her cheeks shone with wrinkle redux. Bellissima, whom she tucked under her arm, wore the exact same ensemble, minus the face cream. She has matching outfits for her baby doll. This is a lot to take in. Iridescent bone-colored jeans. Gouda and jalapeno-flavored popcorn. For a moment, Tuki couldn't move. This was the first time she'd faced her mother since overhearing the dreadful conversation the night before. Instantly, all feelings of shame and betrayal and rejection rushed back to her.
Well, Mrs. de la Creme repeated, her gaze shifting from Tukey to the bag. Her face brightened. Oh, Tukey, what a good sister you are. You've already packed the extra supplies for Miracle today. That's very thoughtful of you. Tukey's heart pounded. How could her mother act like last night hadn't happened? Creamy had all but agreed that Tukey should be sent off to work in one of Me-topia's horrible factories.
Hey, remember that their version of Russia is called Kremlingrad? I just thought I would remind you.
Tukey swiveled her head back to the narrow window at the side of the front door. The sun was over the tree line. I just wanted to go outside for a minute. There's no time for anybody but the Miracle today, Tukey. Mrs. de la Creme turned to the stairs. And here she is now.
Another super chat from Cartoon Kelly. Hey, we're all suffering together. That makes it fun. Oh, that's good. We suffer together. I think that's the main thing that Tyra wanted us to take away from this. You know, if there's a shared trauma, it brings everyone together.
Miracle bounded down the stairs and did a full body wave when she reached the last step. The smize rested gently in her palm. It glittered and hummed.
Oh, it's like a little Quidditch. The snitch. That's what it's called, right? A snitch?
It glittered and hummed. A small case was in her other hand. Ta-ta! She cried. Time to go. Mrs. de la Creme walked to the front door. No, Tukey dug in her heels. I'm not going. Mrs. de la Creme stopped short in the foyer, swung around, and stared at Tukey. Have you lost your mind? Of course you're going. The door gaped open. Mr. de la Creme stood by the car, Brian Quincy at his side.
I think that's Miracle's friend. I forget who Brian Quincy was. They've mentioned him a few times. I don't know what his real relation to the family is. Yeah, the Golden Snitch. Okay. It sounds fake, right? That it's called a snitch? What a stupid name. Harry Potter could be stupid, too. Ben de la Creme. No, it's Ben Quincy. Or Brian Quincy. Ben de la Creme. Oh, that's the drag queen. Right. Yes. He's a spiritual sister. Another super chat from Isabel Kushi. I'm catching up on the past streams, but popping in to say I listened to the Modelland theme was not ready for what came out of my headphones. I feel like my brain was uploaded by a secret society. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's... I've gotten like a few messages from people listening to it for the first time, and if you have not, and you are listening to the stream and have not listened to the Modelland theme, please Google it. Yeah, someone was like, I thought I got a corrupted file. I didn't realize I had to check and make sure it was the right thing. It seems fake, but it's real.
Miracle bounded down the stairs and did a full body wave. Oh, I already did that. Okay. Of course you are going. The door gaped open. Mr. de la Creme stood by the car, Brian Quincy at his side. Mr. de la Creme wore his old Chris Creme Crobat costume, the exact costume he'd lost his eye in. He'd cut out the Modelland Needs a Miracle portion of his t-shirt and sewn it to the abdomen. There were even old brown spots on the fabric, evidence of the bright red blood that had stained the costume on the day his life changed forever. He's got his stained outfit from when he impaled himself stupidly during an acrobat accident that had nothing to do with him impaling himself. What in the world is going on? We haven't gotten to Modelland yet. We gotta go, and we gotta go now. Oh wait, no, it's this Mr. de la Creme. We gotta go, and we gotta go now, Mr. de la Creme yelled. I am not missing the countdown and the opportunity to change our sad excuses for lives. Plus, he added, I have an important appointment to get to after Miracle is chosen. He tapped his hip. Tukey could see the outline of her toothbrush underneath the pocket of his costume. And he's gonna test it and see her model DNA. Mrs. de la Creme seized Tukey hard by the neck and walked toward the car. Ugh, alright, this is getting into the abuse angle here. Just a heads up for people. No, Tukey cried desperately, trying to wrench free. She swung her neck to the side of the house and saw the XO2 written on the tree. All she could think about was how desperate and scared Lizzie had seemed in Lodorno the day before.
They're going to kill me, she had said. What if Lizzie was telling the truth? Tuki's gut told her that if they didn't escape today, something dreadful would happen to her one and only friend. Mr. de la Creme bounded over.
Look, girl,
He growled, grabbing Tuki roughly by the shoulders.
you need to get in the car and help your sister with the most important day of our lives.
He walked Tuki toward the vehicle and shoved her into the back of the car as one might shove a pan of bread into the oven. He walked Tuki toward the vehicle and shoved her into the back of the car as one might shove a pan of bread into the oven. Like leaves off of a fashion tree.
In you go.
Tuki was surrounded by garment bags, shoe boxes, makeup cases, hairsprays, and hair straightening apparatuses. Hold this, Miracle said bossily, shoving the smize into Tuki's lap while she buckled her seatbelt. The smize rattled inside its case as if it were trying to escape. It was a feeling that Tuki understood far too well. Tuki pressed her hands to the back window. As Mr. de la Creme started the car, Tuki's ache for Lizzie cut so deep, she envisioned Lizzie standing just beyond the tree line, her flame-red hair wild around her face. Flames! Flames around my face! Then she sat up straighter. This wasn't a vision. Oh my God, she screamed. Lizzie! Miracle swiveled around and followed Tuki's gaze. Creamy, there's a dirty girl in our yard. Ugh, Brian looked too. She looks like roadkill. Lizzie took a few steps toward the car as if she was considering chasing after it. Her shoulders drooped. Her mouth hung open. Her arms were heavy at her sides. She looked so small standing there, so helpless. If Peppertown ever had the tiniest wisp of a breeze, it would have blown her away. Roadkill? Mrs. de la Creme's eyebrows arched. Where? She swiveled around to look at Lizzie too. Her eyes narrowed darkly. Lizzie's eyes popped wide, as if she'd just seen something that terrified her. She took a couple of wheeling backward steps, her hands trembling. And then Lizzie let out a shrill, window-shattering, ear-piercing scream, a sound that sent tremors through Tuki's limbs, a sound Tuki would never forget as long as she lived. Ah! I'm so sorry, Tuki called. Lizzie's screaming was intensifying as Tuki moved away from her. Lizzie, I'll be back for you tonight. I promise. The car made a sweeping left turn into the street, moving farther and farther away from the small red-headed girl. Lizzie's screams persisted. Tuki could hear those loud, shrill, betrayed wails for blocks and blocks, reverberating over and over as they de la Cremes drove down the wide avenue full of cars, all on their way to the day of discovery. What is happening? What is happening in this book? Another super chat from Milena Kiss. I hope you're able to get to at least one of the other models' introductions in this vid. No spoilers, though. Oh my god. You've read the book, huh? Oh, I'm scared. I'm scared. That's the end of chapter 7. Let's do one more chapter today, unless it's particularly short. Sorry for the late start today, guys. Alright. Chapter 8, Welcome to T-Dot. So we're getting to the day of discovery. Perhaps, someday, within our lifetime, they will get to Modelland. Can you smell it, feel it, taste it? Oh, I can. And it tastes, ooh, so sweet. And the sound, deafening. Think about the loudest, most riotous crowd you've ever been in, and quadruple it. Then multiply that by the power of 10. That is the day of discovery. And yes, my darling, that delightful day has arrived. The whole world is flooding to Metopia to see the delectable spectacle unfold. It takes place all over the planet, of course, on the sexy beaches of Terra Bossa Nova, on the strip of Strip Town, round the Taj Gardens in Chakra, but there's nowhere like Metopia for the most authentic experience. Modelland is right there, after all. At the top of Metopia's highest peak, everyone wants to see the scouts' first descent from the mountain and their final flight back into the land, their capacious carriages full of new recruits. But some visitors don't trek from their corner of the globe just to see the scouts' initial descent. Some come to experience something else. The aftermath. The madness that affects the forsaken, the rejected, the unchosen, and the denied once all the discovery after parties have ended. There are always some rejected candidates who just cannot accept Modelland's decision. They are so sure they deserve a spot in the new class, so convinced that there has been a terrible mistake, that they embark on a pilgrimage up the diabolical divide in hopes that Modelland will see firsthand the grave oversight that has been committed. Those intrepid females, the pilgrims as they are called, have tunnel vision so laser-focused that no one can convince them they're mistaken. People call this debilitating illness the plague. The first telltale symptoms are profuse sweating, massive headaches, and bulging veins. What? This plague is worse than the one you might already be familiar with. The B one. Bubonic, that is. What? That plague induces seizures, fevers, chills, gland swelling, the upchucking of blood, and the decomposition of skin while one is still alive. Why is Modelland explaining to us what... Is it bubonic or bubonic? It's bubonic plague, right? Bubonic? The both of them sound wrong. Why is Modelland explaining this to us? Like it's the Middle Ages. But I will take on the bubonic... I'm just going to go with bubonic. Well, I will take on the bubonic plague any day, for if it's caught in time, it can be ousted from the body with a simple swallow of one of the two mycins, Gento or Strepto. Did Tyra do research for this? And she thought bubonic plague. Someone saying it's bubonic? Okay, the bubonic plague. So... Did Tyra do research? And she's like, oh man, this is a well-researched book. Look how smart I am. I took Harvard classes. So she says she's the Harvard graduate, even though it was just a business, like, class that she took over 2 weeks. It has nothing to do with being a Harvard graduate. Okay. The Pilgrim Plague, however, is terminal, darling. Oh my god. And I'm not referring to an airline departure lounge. What? No. It was so stupid. I didn't even get what they were talking about at first. Okay, here. This is so dumb. It goes from bubonic plague to... The Pilgrim Plague, however, is terminal, darling, and I'm not referring to an airline departure lounge. None who have journeyed up the mountain have ever made it to Modelland, and none have returned to Metopia alive. So they're just hanging out. They're just climbing up a deadly mountain and die, and they call that close to the bubonic plague. Another super chat from Cartoon Kelly. This was written before the sea plague. Well timed. Yeah, right? Gosh, I love reading about plagues at this time. Now, doesn't that send Shivera shivers all the way down your sky-high stilettos? Oh, fuck, I forgot that, like, Peppertown's the hot town, Shivera is the cold town. By the time the De La Creme car pulled into downtown Ladorno, people had already spilled out onto the streets. Tourists lined the curb, gawking at every car that passed. An unnaturally bleached blonde, orange-tanned, middle-aged man sold pink, purple, and turquoise cotton candy in the shape of Intoxabella hairdos from the latest Modelland Modelland magazine fashion editorial. Oh man, I want cotton candy. A sugary, asymmetrical bob, a mess of candy curls in a flossy nest of sharp-looking spikes. Everyone wore something Modelland related. T-shirts with a photo of the mystifying mountains on the front, hats with the I logo, and dresses, shoes, and hats bearing pictures of CL. This is Tyra's dream, right? This is what the theme park is gonna look like in her mind. Oh yeah, the theme park has to have cotton candy along with their Modelland elixir and artisanal truffles. The ravishing Intoxabellas intoxicating eyes entranced Tukey, pulling her in. Once again, the merchandise was adorned with the slogan, "Where the hell is CL?" Another super chat. Ow, my boring reviews. Oh my god, that's a funny name. What an amazing book, truly. I haven't seen something this good since Satan's Sex Slaves. Oh my god. Wait, Satan's Sex Slaves, is that a joke from She-Wolf of London? Am I mixing this up? Is this the She-Wolf of London joke? Because if it is, I love you for making the She-Wolf of London. That is a very obscure joke that I already forgot about. Please confirm. Is that what you're doing? Hang on. Can we talk about She-Wolf of London for a sec? Yes, it is. Oh my god. Oh my god. Thank you. I need to rewatch She-Wolf of London. It's been too long. My first love. Well, not my first love. Maybe my second love. Oh my god. It's one of my loves. I love She-Wolf of London. For people watching who have not seen my review of it, I haven't referenced it in a long time, but She-Wolf of London was a great TV show. It lasted one season in 1990, and it was originally going to be a American Werewolf in London TV show, but they realized they didn't have the rights, so they just changed it to a girl, called it She-Wolf of London. It's kind of a proto-Buffy type show. It's very good, and after the first 14 episodes or so, they retooled it, and when they retooled it, it became one of the worst shows ever. And it was called Love and Curses, and that's also what I based my movie nights theme off of. When I commissioned it from Skitch, I gave him 2 samples of things I would like it to sound like: the Love and Curses theme and the Baywatch Night Season 2 theme. Yeah. Oh, that saxophone theme is so good. Yeah, if you have the time, Google the Love and Curses theme and listen to it. It's very good. Love and Curses is bad, but the theme song is good. All right. Now let's get back to this. Thank you very much, ow, my boring reviews. Where am I at? Tuki's stomach lurched when she saw the shoulder bags a man was selling with photos of Exodus, the new teleportaling 7-7 on them. Oh, right, there was also, in addition to the Exodus that she wants to do, creating a factory, there is also a Antoxabella named Exodus who can teleport, because the Toxabellas have powers for some reason. I'm not in Modelland yet. I'm in Modelland, there's no escape. I'm not in Modelland yet. We're on page 89, we have not entered Modelland. Exodus, Lizzie. She shut her eyes tight, Lizzie's scream echoing in her mind. Protesters also lined the sidewalks, holding up signs that said, "Women don't walk, it's all a sham, T-Dod's a crock, a phony exam." What? Women don't walk, it's all a sham, T-Dod's a crock, a phony exam. What the fuck? Overpowering all the spectators were the thousands upon thousands of candidates making their way to Lodorno Square. Homely girls, riveting girls, short and tall girls, droopy-eyed and doe-eyed girls, shapely-hipped and pigeon-toed and slew and flat-footed girls, twig-limbed and ample-figured and athletic girls. This is turning into a Dr. Seuss thing. I think that description was probably apt in the Wikipedia. They were quoting a review saying that this is about as intelligible as a Klingon transcribed Dr. Seuss book. Another super chat from Robert Scruggs. Can you survive Modelland? Is referring to just reading the book, maybe. Exactly. From the theme song. Can you survive Modelland, Modelland? The beauty is in strife. All of them marched into the square with confidence. Tuki had forgotten that not all the participants were exactly in Toxabella quality. She stared at them as they passed, envious of their guts and determination. Plus, none of them had to stand around helping their younger sisters realize their destiny. So, one of Tyra's things she wanted to accomplish with this book was make it empowering for young women. And part of Tuki's story is that she thinks she's ugly and not good enough, and yet here she is being Miss Judgy Judge about how they're not Antoxabella quality. A little bit of a mixed message here. Another super chat from Cartoon Kelly. This was the first draft, isn't it? Yeah, I find it hard to believe. She said this took 5 years to make. And this is, I mean, I find it hard to believe that there was a second pass on this. Thank you, Cartoon Kelly. As the De La Creme vehicle rolled toward a parking lot, Tuki's mother leaned over to apply a puff of bronzer to Miracle's cheeks. Now, Miracle, you know that you must runway walk the whole 15 minutes the music is playing, right? No chassés, jetés, or pate bourrées. I can't speak French. I'm assuming these are French terms. You hear me? I know, Creamy. Miracle opened her eyes wide to allow Mrs. De la Creme to apply mascara to her bottom lashes. And then the scout...
And when the scout chooses you, be gracious, Mrs. De la Creme went on. They appreciate good manners.
Another super chat from Al My Boring Reviews. Her name is Tukey. Doesn't that mean poop? No, it doesn't mean poop. Dookie is what you're thinking of. Made famous by No Holds Barred, the scene where Hulk Hogan is fighting a man and he shits his pants and he goes, "What's that smell?" and he goes, "Dookie." That's an easy way to remember. You might also remember it from the movie Nukie, which also brings to mind that. Your mother has... Oh, it's Mr. De la Creme. See, I never remember who is who. Your mother's been preparing for this very day since before you were born, Mr. De la Creme said. He pulled into a handicapped parking space, beating another car to the spot. Success, he murmured, pumping his fist. Okay, I like he gives himself a little fist pump at, like, getting to the handicap space. Like, success! The De la Cremes and Brian clambered out of the car and onto the street. Mr. De la Creme held the encased smize under his arm like a football. Ooh. Mrs. De la Creme shoved Tukey's large Exodus/accessories bag into Tukey's arms.
We have a lot of work to do.
She held tight to Tukey's wrist, pulling Tukey toward the town square, which was paved in bleach marble as far as the eye could see. Three sides of the square I got eyes on my mind. 3 sides of the square pulsated with throngs of spectators jockeying for position and participants preparing for the event. The fourth side offered a perfect view of the mysterious mountain almost butting up against it. 6 glittering fountains decorated the square, spewing effervescent plumes of water that sent unwitting tourists scurrying for cover. An enormous, exquisitely carved 8-story clock stood on the north side, and screens flanked the perimeter, many projecting images of the approximately 1,000 other cities hosting chaotic Day of Discovery events all over the world. Let me remind you, Tyra wanted this to be a movie. Can you imagine this being filmed outside of the Top Model Challenge, where she did a modeling video filming bits of Modelland? One screen showed girls standing atop a frozen lake in the town of Palinian. Others displayed candidates milling excitedly into a cleared-out sugarcane field in Quito, pelts-wearing tribal leaders dancing ceremonially around them? It could be the next Cats. Oh, man. You know what? Now I want it to be filmed. Please make this movie, Tyra. If only she could get the funding for everything she wants. A third depicted a massive crowd of young ladies. So, I'm sorry, Palinian, is that like Sarah Palin? Like Alaska? Is that what she's getting at? Am I seeing something where there's nothing? Hulk Hogan to play her dad? Oh my god. Hilarious. A third depicted a massive crowd of young ladies gathered around an auto racetrack in the city of 500? Oh, come on. There was an opening that offered a panoramic view of the Modelland mountain. I see another super chat from Kevin Lechuga. Bring James Mansfield for the Modelland movie nights. Oh my god. Yeah. Have a field day with this. There was an opening that offered a panoramic view of Modelland Mountain. 3 obelisks stood at the base, pointing straight up into the sky, one sparkling ivory, one golden, one bisque that was covered with spots. No one knew who had built them. They'd appeared overnight 6 months ago. But the obscure obelisks, as they'd come to be called. Okay, so she called them obelisks under, lowercase, but then obelisks, uppercase is what they'd come to be called. That's their clever name. But the obscure obelisks. So that's the full name, obscure obelisks. But the obscure obelisks, as they'd come to be called, attracted their own gathering of spectators, many carrying religious icons who believed that the structures were significant to them. Oh, this is getting into cult stuff. Others posed, allowing friends to take pictures of them with the obelisks in the background. This whole book, so all of this it's nonsense anyway. It's nonsense to me, and I have seen all of Top Model. I understand some of the topical references they're making, but these are things that just like date themselves and just disappear into nonsense so quickly. So all of these references that she's making, for instance, Palinian and all that, like people years from now, let's say 15 years from now, some kid picks this up. I don't know why they'd be reading Modelland, but let's say that this book will still be around. Someone picks this up, like, does this make any sense? It just loses all meaning, all reference. Like, what is this just supposed to be a cute reference to her living in Alaska? Who's even gonna know that? So, like, I don't know. Much of these things don't make sense. I have some context because of Top Model, which I've seen multiple times. But I'm sure this doesn't make a lot of sense to some of you guys. Less sense than it makes to me, because it's just nonsense. Okay. Others posed, allowing friends to take pictures of them with the obelisks in the background.
"Those damn ugly-ass obelisks," Mrs. de la Creme muttered as she walked. "They block the view of the mountain."
"I don't think they're ugly." Tukey gazed at them with wonder. "I think they're architecturally interesting, unique, a mystery." The de la Creme family continued through the square. Tourists, television cameramen, and reporters, horse-mounted riot police, and Modelland hopefuls jammed the space. More girls were getting prepped in the tent areas around the perimeter of the square called Walker's Village. Ugh! Don't like Walker in here! I don't even like the name anymore. I am just gonna admit it. That's fine. I'm allowed to be mad.
"You're dragging your feet, Tukey,"
Mrs. de la Creme snapped. Finally. Is that... I thought there was gonna be more to it than that. Nope.
"You're dragging your feet, Tukey,"
Mrs. de la Creme snapped. Finally, they arrived at Walker's Village. They found a clear patch of grass and dropped their bags of gear. Most of the girls were changing in the open, their body parts exposed for the world to see.
"Not..."
Oh, sorry, that's Mr. "Not my miracle," Mr. de la Creme boomed as he pulled a brand new blow-up tent from the large duffel he was carrying. So he's responding to the narration in the book. Like, he's not even responding to anyone. He just sees this and goes, "Not my miracle." Oh, you guys see Ash? Is she walking around? Someone mentioned Ash. Did she wander by? Like a phantom. Yeah, body parts exposed. These are all supposed to be underage girls, by the way. Because Tukey is the older of the two, and Miracle's younger, and Tukey's 15. Trying to stray hair. Yeah. Why is this adult man allowed to be wandering around while the high school girls are stripping? Maybe Tyra's just kind of used to this from modeling. Like, when you're backstage, you just have to get undressed there. So maybe it's just not... She doesn't bat an eye at this, the fact that they're underage girls, because she was like, I think, 15, 16 when she started. Because this is based off of her. He pressed the automatic inflation button, and a white and cream striped tent staked itself to the ground. Mrs. de la Creme and Brian surrounded Miracle, opening makeup cases and pulling out needles and thread and pins and scissors.
"Brian, open the duffel that Tukey brought,"
Mrs. de la Creme commanded. Brian unzipped the bag crammed with Tukey's escape gear. "What the hell is this?" In each hand he held a flashlight and a pillow. His eyes settled on Tukey.
"Oh, honey, good thinking," Mrs. de la Creme said, running to the bag. "Brian, bind these 2 flashlights to the tent ceiling for extra light. The pillows are perfect for Bellissima to nap on. And Green bananas? Tookie, you didn't. Tookie, you didn't.
So she likes green bananas. That is also a thing. For some reason, she doesn't like bananas with spots. Another super chat from Matt Keeley. I hope once you finish Modelland, you do a manic episode / revisitation of the ANTM Modelland episode. Well, I did, I talked about it already. I'm not really sure what much else I can say other than in the Tyrelicious Moments video. Maybe. I'll definitely do, like, a more edited thing of this whole experience here, if there's some interest. We'll see. We still got quite a bit to go. We have, 400 something pages left, so yeah, we'll see.
Tookie, you didn't.
Oh, and thank you if I didn't say. Yeah, you're right, I didn't, Tookie thought bitterly. Those green bananas were supposed to last for a week, for her and Lizzie. She was just gonna live on bananas? Mr. De La Creme and Brian waited outside the tent while Miracle put on the gauzy, strapless vintage dress that was the exact color of her skin. Okay, so this seems to be, this seems confirmation that Miracle is white, because they did describe this dress earlier as a nude-colored dress. Usually that nude is a beigey, white skin tone, I think. The skirt fanned out nearly 3 feet from her slim hips, and the folds settled in such a way that the dress looked like the surface of an elegantly rippling ocean. Tookie crouched down beside her sister and began fascinating the row of hundreds of tiny buttons on the bodice. Tookie is still black. Tookie is still black. Yes. Her small fingers expertly sliding each button through its loop. Mrs. De La Creme grabbed a stack of bobby pins and began to fix Miracle's hair. Tookie moved closer to her mother, thinking this might be a good time to talk. Creamy? She said softly. After Miracle is chosen, nothing has to change, right? You're not going to send me away to become a factory dependent, are you?
Tookie, your father's made some hard decisions, but he is my husband, and I have to honor them, Mrs. De La Creme murmured absently, applying gloss to Miracle's lips. I should imagine things will change quite a bit. Tookie gasped. So does that mean... But Mrs. De La Creme had already turned away. Tookie's mouth hung open. So that was it. They really were sending her away. Tears pricked her eyes. Finally, when Miracle was finished, Mrs. De La Creme opened the case holding the smize. She slowly lifted the lid, and the glow spilled out, bathing the tent's interior with multi-golden luminescence. She moaned in ecstasy. Ew! There's a super chat from Vinicius de Moraes. Oh, is that Vinny? Hey Allison, I love the charming podcast episode you were in, and here's my pitch. Sarah Jeffrey dressed as Maggie as Tookie for the movie adaptation. Yeah, alright, I could see Sarah Jeffrey doing this. Thank you. Yeah, alright, I could see her playing a Tookie de la Creme. Moaning in ecstasy. Come here, baby, Mrs. De La Creme breathed. Come to Creamy. Tookie wasn't sure if her mother was speaking to the Smize or to Miracle. But if she's moaning in ecstasy, she better not be talking to her daughter. But as if on cue, Miracle glided as if in a trance toward her mother and placed her chin right into her mother's cupped hands. The Smize sucked into Miracle's face, wiggling itself into place, and rested above her eyes, its undulating colors creating the most magnificent eyeshadow effect Tookie had ever seen. Tookie resisted the overwhelming urge to reach out and stroke the Smize. Oh, I gotta remind you guys of this. This is what this is supposed to look like. So Tyra Banks did a book tour about this, and she was cosplaying with some people she definitely paid to just cosplay as Modelland hopefuls. Yeah, I think this is... There's some cosplay going on here. Here's her wearing what I believe the Smize is supposed to look like. The little thing above her eye. I'm trying to find the picture of the Tyraland, or the Tyraland.
That's what it's going to be called now. Tyraland Models. I'm never going to find it now that I've said it. If I say Modelland Tyra Banks cosplay... Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay. The Tyraland. Oh no, that's a long-ass link. That's not gonna work. I will just link you to this blog here. So you can see Tyra with all her Intoxabellas and their smizes. This is stupid. A gasp rippled through the crowd as soon as they saw Miracle and her smize. One girl who was biting her nails began to cry, and another looked as if she was about to pummel Miracle, but she made eye contact with Mr. De La Creme and backed off. Ooh, Brian cooed, scuttling over to admire Miracle's gold three-dimensional eyeshadow. Ah, this is stupid. Tukey had to agree. Miracle was a stunning girl, but the smize made her beauty otherworldly. A smidgen more stunning than the 7/7s Tukey had seen the night before. Oh my god. Losing my voice. Riot police began to move the crowd behind the barricades, clearing the square. A shrieking whistle filled the air, and all eyes turned skyward. A bowling ball-shaped man with a full white beard and mustache, twinkling little eyes, and a jutting chin, wearing a white top hat, swept straight down into the now empty square, supported by a harness. It's turning into Dune or something. You know what I'm imagining? I'm imagining that snowman in that, like, animated Rudolph special, the stop-motion one. That's what I imagine he looks like. Tukey recognized him as Devin Rump the Sixth, the mayor of Metopia. Devin Rump the Sixth. Snowman-looking dude on a harness. Devin Rump the Sixth. That means there are 5 more Devin Rumps before him. Greetings, Mayor Rump said. His voice echoed off of the hard marble surfaces. Eatings, eatings. Members of the Quadrant's councils of Peppertown, Pitter-Patter, Shivera, and Ladorno and their spouses stood on the side stage. Each council member's wife was decked out in the products his Quadrant's factories were famous for. I have the great honor of welcoming all of you from around the globe to the fashion capital of the world, Metopia. Mr. Rump boomed into a microphone headset. Today is the day you have all waited 364 days for, the day of discovery, or T-Dawn, as you young folk have come to call it. I want to wish all of you competing for Modelland admission the best of luck. Metopia has a long-standing track record of producing many Intoxabellas, which is why so many of you trek here from your faraway homelands each year. And today we hope to send many more of you to that special place on the mountain. Cheers erupted in the crowd. What would be the look this season? The mayor asked no one in particular. Is it the year of blondes? The brunettes? Perhaps it is ginger season. Ginger, yes! A strawberry blonde in a pink gown cried a few feet away. They never pick ginger. Ah, ginger phobia here. Yeah, he's kind of just turning into old man. Look, I only have so many voices. Kitty! Come here, people see you. Come here. Ugh. Hey guys. It's the kitty. Oh, she doesn't want to be held right now. Look at the people on the stream. Okay. Not wanting to be held. She's very sleepy.
sleepy.
Okay. I know. Why did I pick you up? All right.
Will it be tan-skinned or rosy epidermises? Rump went on.
Are they trying to say, like, tan skin without saying, like, black? Is that what tan-skinned or rosy epidermis is? I know I keep talking about race in this. It's weird the kind of dancing around it that's going on here. I don't know. All right, I'll move on.
Blue irises, cognac ones, emerald or hazel.
Oh, but not mixy match eyes. Tukey used to watch the mayor every year on television on the day of discovery, wishing, hoping he'd utter, "Will it be girls with one brown and one green eye? Shut up!" But it had never happened.
Will it be slim-limbed, the slightly curved, the athletically built?
The mayor continued, his words echoing throughout the massive square.
Will it be you?
Did Tyra write this? She did write this. Can Ash read a chapter? She can't read. She's just a silly old cat. She don't know how to read nothing. More cheers.
And if you are not chosen, don't fret. Metopia has many wonderful jobs manufacturing clothes, accessories, and beauty products. Holding a job in a factory is just as worthy of esteem as being an Toxabella.
The mayor paused for cheers. He was met with dead silence. Suddenly, a hand slipped into Tukey's and squeezed. It was Miracle's. Her wide eyes flitted back and forth nervously. "Do I look okay?" Tukey looked at her sister, suddenly feeling a protective and loving rush. It wasn't Miracle's fault their parents were horrible people. Miracle might not have been the best sibling, but she was all Tukey had. Aw, at last she's bonding with Dursley. "You look absolutely beautiful," she said. "Breathtaking, really. Now remember, Miracle, dance in your spirit, but not with your body, 'kay?" I know. You sound like Creamy," Miracle playfully groaned. Tukey had a sudden revelation. This might be it. The last time she would see Miracle. Success!
All day of discovery, candidates. Are you ready?
Mayor Rump called. A resounding, excited yes filled the air, so loud that it made the mayor of the Quadrant Council members clamp their hands over their ears. Cowbells clanged again. They need more cowbell! The crowd clapped in slow unison. Mr. de la Creme crouched down to Miracle and held the sides of her face.
Dance in your spirit, but not with your body. You want this, baby, right?
See, I was doing the mayor too long. I'm mixing up the voices. Miracle sucked on her bottom lip, eating off her lip gloss, and then stared blankly into her father's eyes.
Come on now, baby, wake up. This is our destiny.
Miracle nodded, shaking out the tension in her arms and legs exactly like she did before her Maven of Movement competitions.
The time has come!
Mayor Rump picked up a long striped tube and lit it with a match. Sparks began to fly. The tube shivered and bucked.
Lives are about to magically change forever! Candidates, get ready!
Rump let the sparking tube go. It shot into the sky and exploded into the clouds, creating a giant burst of blues and pinks and golds, visible even in the daylight. Tukey gawked at it, her hand in her mouth. When she looked back at Mayor Rump, his harness had yanked him up into the sky once more. Fireworks continued to explode around him, and then from his dangling perch, the mayor uttered the very word everyone had waited for all year.
Begin!
You're on page 96. That is the end of chapter 8. Not yet entered Modelland, but they are competing in the T-Dod. Well, I don't feel like a lot was accomplished in these couple chapters that we read today. What even really was it? Like, she planned to run away, and then she didn't, and then they went to the T-Dod ceremony, put on some makeup, and then the mayor made an announcement. That's it. All right. Well, I am gonna call it a day for the stream. We'll do this again sometime soon. Thank you for everyone for coming. I'm glad that people are following along still. 4 live reading sessions in. Let's see Ash real quick before we go. She's very comfy.
Say bye to everyone.
Misery. Love you, kitty. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys around. Thanks again for coming. Bye.